Hello everyone, welcome back to Day 1 Dev. As we discussed in our previous video, Agentic Pattern routing, when you call a customer service, how does your call end up within a billing, technical support, or a sales? So in this example, Jupyter Notebook example, I did called out the routing based on a certain logic, which we can use rules-based definition. But to keep it as simple, I did use if condition. So as you can see here, I did link up my previous video, which we talked about agentic pattern, the routing. You can go over this architecture diagram. We did called out the prompt, the user inputs a prompt, and the router is a decision maker. Based on that, the agents will be triggered. Right? So as I called out in my previous notebook commands, always my first few commands are installing a libraries, and I use to load an auto time to just keep it in how my code works. I can see here one of example. It took 155 microseconds, and I define my variables here at the top, and I initialized my Llama service, which I'm running from my local, the LLM, and I just do a quick checkout about my service, how my service is behaving. Is it healthy or not? It's up and running. It's similar if you have done within web applications. It's considered just a load balancer is hitting your application service, checking for a ping service, making sure that it's up and running for every few seconds. Right. So now I'm defining a prompt templates here. You can see here I have three templates which are called out: a weather template, a news template, and a general templates. And I defined my template pattern for a certain query, which is my input. And I defined my routing function to keep it simple. As I stated previously, I'm using if conditions, but in real world scenario, if there's a complex rules, you might be using some rules engine, or you might be using a data pipelines. Now you can see here, I have a function called getResponse, where I define my routing query based on certain parameters within my response. I look for weather or news, or else I'll construct this in a general. Then I invoke my LLM client service, which in your case, this LLM client can be Olama Inference, or it can be a Bedrock services, or it can be Google Gemini service, or it can be OpenAI ChatGPT service, which you might be running from Azure network, or you might be using Anthropic service. Okay. Now let's do our agent, which is a function, get response, some scenarios. So you can see here, my query is what the weather like in New York, because I live in West Coast in San Francisco. So I'm checking a weather for New York. So now it gives me some response back, and it detects whether this is going through my if condition of a weather, and it's giving me of that agent rule, which is my prompt. I'm prepping that for. Now let's go to a news one, which I'm calling out here some keyword, which has a news about AI. It's extracting about a news, and it's giving me all this information. Now I have a general query, which I'm saying this, how are you? Which is, I think everyone uses on ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Bedrock services. So one of our common statement everyone uses when you meet someone. So it gives me saying that I'm a normal parameter. It's the computer, and it's checking for a certain verbiage, and it's ending up in my general. So just going back to our 3 lessons learned, that if you might have remembered from our previous video, routing enables AI to adapt, not just follow a script. It saves the time by sending each request to the right workflow, and it's essential to build as scalable, context-aware AI agents that can work in the real world. Right? I hope you learned something new, and if it was helpful, please hit subscribe and share.